Hello friends, so here I am again with the latest issue of the New Scientist, and dramatic heading as usual: the glue that holds reality together. A strange idea could finally explain the universe's most essential force. So I was trying to figure out what that most essential force is, and it turns out that the article is speaking mostly about the strong force, the force that holds the atom of a nucleus together, strong force. And we now know that that is referred to as gluons. Gluons are elementary particles of force fields that actually are supposed to hold those quarks, the building blocks of the nucleus of the atom together. And then, it goes into exotic mathematics, talks about a theory built from weightless ingredients produces particles that are unmistakably heavy. And then, it goes into other details. At the smallest scales, gluon fields become incredibly rough and wildly oscillating. So basically, trying to figure out again what holds the universe together. And according to this, it's gluons. These are, of course, mental concepts. So I want to unravel this in a way that makes much more sense. You don't need all this if you understand that the real glue that holds the universe together is consciousness itself. Okay, let's unravel this a little bit. Now, when you look up at the night sky, for example, it's easy to imagine a universe made of countless separate things: stars, planets, people, particles. But what if at the deepest level there are no things at all, only one continuous field of being playing as many? In fact, the article hints at that, that particles and force fields are ultimately expressions of quantum fields, which are differentiated expressions of probably one field. So let's explore this question through the language of modern physics: force fields, quarks, gluons, the Higgs boson, leptons. Let's do that. And then I want to gently turn that language inside out so that we actually understand that we are approaching the whole thing in a way that starts with matter and force fields as fundamental, but they're not. So let's start with what physics actually tells us. According to the Standard Model, everything in the visible universe is made of a small family of fundamental particles and fields. So quarks and leptons, like electrons and neutrinos, those are quarks and leptons, are the basic building blocks of matter. Gluons, photons, and other bosons are the carriers of forces like the strong and electromagnetic interactions. And by the way, they've all been unified right now, except for gravity, theoretically. Underlying all of these quantum fields, there are subtle invisible fields that fill all of space with particles, but the particles themselves are tiny ripples or excitations in those fields. So in this view, an electron isn't a hard little marble. It's more like a note in a cosmic symphony, a stable variation of the electron field. A photon, a particle of light, that's what a photon is a vibration of the electromagnetic field. Gluons are vibrations of the strong field that binds quarks together inside protons and neutrons. And the Higgs field is an all-pervading field whose presence gives certain particles their mass, while others, like photons, pass through it untouched. So physics already invites us into a radical picture. Not many separate objects, but many interacting fields, and what we call matter or particles are just patterns in those fields. Now, let's shift into a non-dual perspective, okay? So non-duality says, at the most fundamental level, there's only one reality. One undivided field of being, or consciousness, or awareness, appearing as everything. What you call me, you, space, time, and matter are different modes of this one field knowing itself. What physics calls fields and particles are incredibly sophisticated descriptions of how this one field, how you as consciousness appears when examined with particle accelerators, detectors, and equations. So how do quarks and leptons look from here? Quarks are particles that are never seen alone. They're always confined in groups inside protons and neutrons, bound together by gluons and the strong force. In a non-dual reading, they are like hidden syllables in the mantra of existence, fundamental distinctions that never appear in isolation, only as part of a larger, balanced whole. Leptons, like electrons and neutrinos, are lighter, freer excitations. They don't feel the strong force the way quarks do. You could say they express the one reality, consciousness, in a more open, roaming way, dancing around nuclei as electrons or streaming through the cosmos as nearly undetectable neutrinos. Gauge bosons, the force carriers such as photons and gluons, are the relational aspects of the one you. They encode how one pattern talks to another, a pattern talking to another, how energy is exchanged, how influence propagates. In non-dual language, they are the choreography of relationship within what is in truth a relationshipless unity. And then there is the Higgs field. Physics tells us that the Higgs field fills all of space and that particles interacting with it acquire mass, their resistance to acceleration. Tamas. The Higgs boson is just one quantized ripple of this field. From a non-dual perspective, the Higgs field is a beautiful metaphor for an all-pervading presence. It is everywhere, in everything, and yet we never see it directly. We infer its existence through how it changes the behavior of other patterns. In the same way, pure consciousness is not an object you can point to. You can never see consciousness as a thing, but you can see its signature in every experience, every thought, every perception, every sensation. Right here, this becomes personal, You are the field and the knower of the field. Chapter 13, Bhagavad Gita. Kshetragya, the knower of the field. Kshetra, the field. This is what Lord Krishna says, referring to himself as pure consciousness. So you are the invisible, all-pervading presence in which every sensation, every image, every thought arises and subsides. You're also the one who knows these movements, the effortless witnessing in which they are illuminated. Let's make this a little more experiential. Right now, notice your immediate experience. There is the sensation of the body. There are sounds, perhaps including the sound of my voice. There are colors and shapes in front of you, and maybe subtle emotions or thoughts moving in the background. All of these, body, mind, and world, are like ripples. They are patterns arising in a single field of knowing. That field is your awareness. You don't see awareness the way you see an object, but everything you see, hear, and think appears in it. In physics language, you could say awareness is the ultimate field. Quarks, leptons, gluons, photons, Higgs bosons, and even space and time themselves are sophisticated names we give to specific, repeatable patterns appearing in that field. And here again the reminder, you are the field and the knower of the field. You're not merely a small fragment embedded in a vast universe. The vast universe is an intimate pattern dancing within your own being. When a physicist writes down equations for quantum fields, they're describing the regularities in these patterns, the habits of the universe. From a non-dual viewpoint, those habits are the stable ways in which consciousness plays with itself. So instead of thinking there's a physical universe out there made of particles and fields, and I'm a small observer inside it, which is what this article does, you can begin to sense there is one indivisible field of being, and what I call particles, fields, and me are all within this single field of awareness. I'm that field, and I'm the knower of that field. In this reframing, science doesn't lose its power, it becomes even more miraculous. The standard model is not just a catalog of tiny building blocks. It is a precise mathematical poetry that describes how the one moves as the many. So imagine the entire consciousness as an ocean without edges. Quarks are wavelets on that ocean. Leptons are other kinds of waves. Gluons and photons are the ways waves interact with one another. Waves, interference patterns. The Higgs field is the quiet, pervasive stillness that gives some waves a sense of weight and others a sense of lightness. And awareness, your innermost sense of I am, is the water itself. And so unmistakably, you are the field and the knower of the field. You are the ocean and the wave, the background and the foreground, the universe and the witness of the universe. When you truly feel this, something relaxes. The world of physics stops being a cold, mechanical machine and becomes a living, dynamic expression of consciousness. You're not separate from the quark, the gluon, or the Higgs field. You're that in disguise, looking at itself through human eyes, through human instruments, through human thought. So as you move through your day, remember, every sight, every sound, every sensation is a quantum of experience, a particle in the field of awareness. You could even say a qualia of experience. Notice that all of it appears and disappears, while the simple fact of being, knowing remains. When you rest as that knowing, the boundaries between inner and outer, spiritual and scientific, self and world begin to dissolve. Force fields become movements of your own being. Quarks and leptons become intricate patterns in your own consciousness, and the universe reveals itself as what it has always been. One field known by itself. You are that field. You are the field and the knower of the field. Until next time, may you recognize every particle, every moment as a doorway back to the indivisible field that you are. Kshetra, Kshetragya. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma.